What I'm going to start with here then is to remove any side branches that I don't need, that are not going to be brought up into the trellis system. So we'll probably keep this one here. I'll probably eliminate this one here. It seems to be weaker. We'll tie this up later. And I probably don't need this one down here. So we filled our space down at this end. Looking up, we're spaced very nicely. Here we've got two. This one's coming out into the row. So eliminate that. I've got a selectic branch here. Eliminate that. And we're pretty much nicely spaced. We don't need this one coming from the next tree because I've already filled my space here. So we'll take that off. And then the last thing that we do is we just top each branch. Generally what I like to do is I like to cut it to a bud that's in the row, not one that's facing out into the alleyway. So I'll cut that there, here, these branches just so. And the reason that I do this tipping is we know that being on a precocious rootstock like Gisela, all of these individual nodes now this season are going to create a spur of leaves with no fruit. But next year, each of these will be a fruiting spur. And as growth slows down in the year that this shoot developed, the nodes get closer together, so the spurs get closer together. And then 2 years after that branch formed, you'll have very dense clusters of fruit. So by tipping these branches back, eliminating those dense clusters of fruit, we keep the fruiting wall much more in balance, and the fruiting spurs will be spaced out much more regularly up and down the branch. And with that, we've pretty much finished this UFO tree. So here we can see we have a real strong shoot. We'd actually cut it last year and had 3 new shoots regenerate. One still is very, very strong. And we only need one in this location, and we don't want it to be too strong. Otherwise, it'll become a new shoot rather than simply a fruiting upright. So we're going to take this one off, and we can thin this one out, and then we'll tie this one back. And this will be exactly what we want to fill in the wall in balance with the rest of the fruiting uprights. Okay, here we're looking at some UFO trees going into the 3rd year. These are Rainiers on Gisela 3. So it's a dwarfing rootstock, very precocious. You can see much shorter growth compared to the Bentons in the other video. And we can also see that here we did not restart these trees. The shoots that grew in the 1st year are now flowering going into the 3rd year with flowering spurs. So you can see when I talk about fruiting units, what you grow in the 1st year or the 2nd year and how that becomes a spur fruiting site in the 3rd or 4th year is illustrated very nicely. This was last year's growth. This was the growth from 2 years ago. And this gives you a very nice demonstration of what we will expect to see in the 3rd year. Then in the 4th year, this will be flowering spurs along with here. So this area that you see right here will all be flowering spurs going into the 4th year. And we'll have new shoot growth that will keep extending these fruiting units as this training system develops.